Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Seth Miranda here for AdoramaTV, coming to you from the Adorama event space at the store itself at 42 West 18th Street. And you know, we do all our streaming on Nikon Z50 II, so there's no stranger to the video here, and you're looking at me on the new Nikon Z50 II in 4K 24 N-Log, which is graded, and you now have red LUTs to grade that with. A lot to talk about here, right? I mean, there's so much going on from where the Z50 was 5 years ago, and I can feel it holding this camera with almost a basic redesign. I mean, first of all, yeah, so that flip down screen that you remember, not a thing anymore. And we're gonna get into a lot of stuff. You're gonna hear a lot of videos and a lot of examples of, it's a content creator camera, it's entry level. And I'm gonna argue, yeah, but you also have a lot of room to grow with this, especially when it has an EVF, it's a crop sensor body, but a lot of video capability, a lot of new processing power, and a lot of new features. So let's get into this right away. So the first thing you're gonna know is, it's a 20.9 crop sensor APS-C sensor. Yeah, so you're looking at the same thing you were going with the Z50, but you've got a lot of power behind that sensor now. XP7, that is the new processor. It's a version of the one that you see in the Z9, Z8, Z6 III, ZF, and now you're looking at the Z50 II. So what does that give you? Well, I don't know, how about a completely overhauled and high-powered autofocus system, including 3D tracking and subject detection? I'm talking about people, animal, vehicles, but also bird detection. Yeah, I just know a few of you piqued your interest on that one. And also the vehicles like airplanes, motorcycles, and cars, all being dedicated. So you have a lot of options as far as making the subject detection really tailored to what you're shooting, but it's also just that much quicker, that much more responsive, and what you're used to and seeing like the ZF, you're gonna feel it here in the Z50 II, which is a huge upgrade right there alone, right? But then we're talking about some other features that we've seen in the rest of the higher end Z line, and that's where I argue that you can use this as a camera to grow with, or a camera that'll get you what you need for client work. And I shot in here with Erica to give her a nice clean white background shot really quick. So if you need to do some headshots for like someone for LinkedIn or whatever, it's a capable camera to do that. Yes, I hooked up Pro Photo strobes to it, but you can hook up any strobes you want, throw a remote in that shoe and you're good to go. But there's also a pop-up flash, right? So that means if you're out there and you just want to get a quick flash, you can do that. And I actually really enjoy using a fill light with a pop-up flash. And I know that's like sacrilege to some of you guys out there, but when you need it and it's on you, you use it. And just as a quick tip, I tend to underexpose my pop-up flash in the ambient light as a fill at -1.3 to -1.7, somewhere around there. And you'll see that, yes, you'll notice there's a fill flash with a pop-up, but it's not overtaking the exposure or overtaking the shape of our subject there. So you saw that here with Erica, but I also want to just really exploit this camera a little bit. So yeah, it's 11 frames per second raw mechanical shutter. When you throw it into electronic shutter, you can get up to 30 frames per second in JPEG. So we had to do some of those hair flips, and the autofocus was staying with her in that regard as well. So again, you're seeing that power, right? The autofocus system, the speed of the camera, the responsiveness of the camera, which is great. But my other argument about this camera is, it's a Z series camera. That means you have the Z mount. I was able to throw an 85mm 1.2 from my Pro kit onto this lens and get some really nice shots, because I see a lot of comments on when we do crop sensor cameras videos, and you guys say, oh, well, you can't get a shallow look with crop sensor. I'd argue differently, especially with the Z system having so many compelling options for a wide aperture like this 24mm 1.7, the new 1.4s that just came out, the 1.8s that have been out since the beginning of the Z series, and they're all very affordable. In fact, the 40mm f2 has been one of my favorite fun lenses for a while, and that's another story of this camera is being fun. You have a dedicated button right here for picture control, and that lets you just dial in what type of look you want. So if you just want to grab this camera and not be so serious and just go get a look and just be done with something on the fly that you can dial in on real time, you're flying through styles. I mean, toy camera, denim, carbon, all these fun names, but if you look at it, they really do lean into what they're saying, like dream. You know exactly what you're gonna get. Nice and soft, a little foggy action going on there, and you're already in that. So if you're someone that's starting out and not sure what your style is, it's an amazing place to be, because you can literally see it in real time and then see what you gravitate to. And then you can actually make your own recipes to put in and tweak it exactly how you want. And then you're just getting at a camera what you wanted when you shot it, rather than worrying about it, getting it up later, or getting those photos to that model too late. No, shoot, have fun, enjoy it, and you're good to go. Stills wise, this is so capable with the fast frames per second. But remember I talked about the bird autofocus and all that stuff? Well, what if I told you this has pre-capture? Yeah, it does. So pre-capture that we see in higher end models like the Z9 and stuff like that, it's sitting here in the Z50 II, which is crazy, right? So On top of all the stills, which I'm gonna lean on a lot of video capability. Like I said, you were looking at me at 4K 24 N-Log, and this goes up to 4K 30, 4K 60. You will see a crop on that, but you have the ability to do 4K 60 N-Log in a camera in this class at this price point. That's awesome, right? It's single card slot with the SD. There is a new battery. However, it is the same form factor as the older battery for the Z50, the ZFC. So you can use those older batteries in here. You're just getting a longer lasting battery with the new one in here. It's kind of like how we saw the EL15 battery go from A, B, and C. Same thing here. We're seeing a new update to that battery, which is great. If you're on the go and you want to just not carry a lot of stuff with you, you can charge this via the USB-C, and you can also power it via USB-C while you're tethered, because that's what I did with Erica. I was actually able to tether this camera, and it was taking power from the laptop while I was shooting, and I was going right to laptop. So again, you can grow with this. It's not like a camera that won't tether, that there aren't profiles for it inside softwares that we tether with in this industry. I used it to capture one, which is an industry standard in this game. So just right there alone, you don't have to use a dedicated software you're not used to. If you're used to a workflow, or if you're a pro that just needs that like sixth camera, you kind of got it, right? So like I said, I called in Erica, who I haven't seen in a while, and I know some of you fans of her. She came by, and I want to just do a simple setup, because I feel like that's kind of who's going to grab this, is somebody that needs to do like a quick 1 or 2 light setup, if at all. It's a really blah day outside, there's rain. I was going to do the outside stuff, but you've seen pretty girl shot outside a million times, right? Now let's say you had to get some commercial-ish type work done. You can do it, like I said, by getting your strobe system or constant lights going, and it's very capable. You can see that getting into that shot, you got enough resolution to get people the shots that they want on an APS-C sensor. 20.9 is still a good amount of resolution to do that with. In fact, you're even seeing when I shot towards the store and making that background nice and shallow, how much of an impactful image you can pull out of this. Even super close up, the close focus I was able to get on Erica. If you look at that shot and you just threw it on Instagram, no one's gonna say, was that shot on crop sensor? And I think people get stuck on what the sensor size is rather than the shot. And I'm kind of making a case for you guys to take a look at the shots. If you like them, that's what you're gonna get from this camera, and that's the way you're able to work. That is your workflow, tethered with strobe system. So there it is, right? The argument that it's not just a, hey, it's fun, let's travel around and take shots, but more like, you have a massive library of lenses, you have a lot of capability, connectivity, and you have camera to cloud in this as well. Don't forget about that. That's the new Nikon thing where you can shoot and it goes wirelessly to a cloud for you to set up hot folds or whatever else you need, some remote area for your files to store. So if you're shooting with a team or something, or you're someone that needs to get to the cloud later on to do some post work, it's there for you. You're probably seeing a ton of shots out of this camera that I did with Erica, and in just this small space, with just changing lenses and either using my own lights or whatever else, you can see how you can change up this look pretty quick. And like I said, it's just kind of easy to forget that this is a crop sensor camera with the quality you're kind of getting out of it, and the glass is really going to go far, which you have a ton of options with. I know I've been leaning a lot on all the still stuff, but let's talk about the video, because I did mention all the 4K 60, 4K 30 stuff. But there's also new autofocus mode. So if you wanted to, you could plug this into a laptop or a PC or a MacBook or whatever, and just with the USB-C cable, just with one cable, you can get video signal, power, and audio. No more having to like plug in audio separately, sync it up later, or figure out some sort of delay in OBS or something like that. One cable and you're good. That's amazing, right? So if you're someone that just wants to throw this onto a tripod, do a Zoom call, or get onto your YouTube channel really quick, or live stream really fast, you can do that. And of course, the new flip out screen is a godsend for something like that, so you can see what you're doing. But it also has stuff like product autofocus, and we've seen that coming out in this industry, but you're seeing it here in Nikon, which is cool. So if I just held it up and went like this, it's focusing on the camera, and then it's bringing it back to me. I don't no longer have to do that whole thing where I cover my face forever and hope that it locks on to what I'm showing you. I can just hold it up, and it's intelligent enough from the new processor to know that, hey, this guy's trying to show you something. Something random like this, piece of junk I found laying around, this, golden play button for 1 million subscribers we got here at AdoramaTV. We just kick it around, holds open the door usually. No, thank you guys for this, seriously, we were hugely appreciative. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there was so much thought out to this, and while I'm being recorded on this Nikon Z50 II right now, there's a tally light. I can tell I'm being recorded, which anyone that self-films knows exactly how crazy it is to get through an entire take and then you realize you never hit record. You're fine right here. Or knowing when someone who's filming you like my guy Matteo is right now, who's also monitoring the audio, because on the side, not only do you have a mic input, but you do have headphone jack, which the headphone jack actually can also double as a remote release. So that's another accessory, but that's where you would put the remote if you were looking for something like that. And of course, you've got the micro HDMI if you did want to get a video signal out, which is cool to see as well. Overall, it does feel like a different camera in my hand than the original Z50. The grip definitely feels deeper, which allowed me to use that 85 1.2 inch craziness. And I did that because I just wanted to see if I could, and just knowing that I could was great. But it's also familiar because while the grip is a Nikon grip, and you know what I'm talking about if you shoot Nikon, inside you get that function 1 and function 2 button, which I was able to program to similar things that I have in my higher end cameras. So it's more seamless. If I pick this up, I'm not going, what did I put that into? What is that thing? No, it's already programmed and I'm good to go. I feel like I went all over the place on this, but that's kind of the vibe of this camera. You can go all over the place with this camera, from stills to video to self-filming, vlogging, everything in between. And it even has electronic vibration reduction, which means stabilization is a little bit cropped, but keep in mind that almost all the DX lenses in the Nikon Z series have optical stabilization to help you out with that when you need it. So if you're walking and filming yourself, you got it kind of covered there in the glass rather than in the body, keeping the body smaller and the price down a little bit, less moving parts, all that kind of stuff. Another higher end feature that we're seeing in this camera for the video is high res zoom. Isn't that crazy? We saw that in the Z9 with a firmware update. Well, now it's out of the box here, where you can actually get a 1080 image and make almost every lens parafocal by using digital zoom and keeping the entire video still 1080. So it's filming in 4K, digitally zooming, but you're not losing anything when you're doing that kind of digital zoom, as opposed to a non-parafocal lens where you'll lose focus while you're zooming. One of those things that makes me feel you can get a little more serious with this camera is if you're someone that's used to EVFs or loves shooting for EVF, I'm one of those people, right? And this EVF definitely feels like a little bit of an upgrade from the original Z50. You're getting 1000 nit brightness, which is cool. So imagine you're out there traveling in a very sunny, bright place and you're trying to see what's going on the screen. You can throw it up to your eye to either check your shot after you shot from the LCD, or you can shoot from the EVF and you're in a good position to just know exactly what you're getting inside the camera, blocking out the rest of the light. And I don't need to tell you guys why an EVF is awesome to have. It's always good to have, right? And you know, one of those things we don't talk about a lot with the XP7 processor and what's been going on with the Nikon Z series is that it just feels familiar. And what I mean by that is if you've been shooting Z8, Z9, Z6 III, ZF, you know, we saw the menu and the autofocus change drastically when the Z9 hit. And when I pick up this camera after having the Z9, Z8, and the Z6 III in my kit right now, I don't feel like I'm lost. It feels the same. The menus are the same. You know, it's organized the same. It has the same overlay for the autofocus. It's recognizing the face. It's seeing both those eyes. I can switch between either one of those eyes. It's the same color interface, all that kind of stuff. So you don't feel like you take a second to get yourself acquainted with it. You're kind of already in it if you've already been part of the Nikon series that had the XP7. So that's why I kind of argue, while it is a super powerful tool for someone to get started, get going, and grow with, it's also that tool that if you've been in this game and have a bunch of Z kit, you kind of just add it to it, and it's not that crazy to go between, you know, a Z6 III and a Z50 II if you need it, or if you need that second camera to film yourself for your channel. You don't need a top-end camera to do it. It's very capable to add it to it, and it all matches, right? That's the key thing here. So keep in mind, this is a pre-production unit, right? So this is not a finalized copy. The firmware is going to change, things are going to change, things are going to improve, like always with these new releases. Anyway, I probably rambled on forever because there is so much to ramble on about the Z50 II, but if there is something you want to know specific about it, check out the links down below. All the nerd data is there, all the feature list, all that stuff, and you can see the different kit options with the lenses, and you'll see, I think it's pretty affordable for what you're getting. Absolutely, it's a lot in your hands. But for now, if you guys have any questions, hit me with a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer it. As always, hit like, share this video around, hit subscribe and the bell to get notified when we put up more videos like this. We'll see you next time. Later, guys.